Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the 5th WWEA webinar. Can you understand me? I can see there are already many people on board. I'm happy about that. And now I would again like to welcome you to this 5th WWEA webinar with the topic of community power partnerships for developing countries. This webinar, I'm very pleased about that, is held in collaboration, co-hosted by the African Community Power and Rural Electrification Platform, by Mali Volke Center, and by UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And soon I'll have the pleasure to welcome representatives of each of the organization to give a short welcome. But before, some general information about this webinar. First, also a thank you to our continuous webinar partner, Profec Ventus. Then also some information about the webinar. As you have probably noticed, we have many speakers, and the webinar is divided in 3 parts. The first part will be people from projects from the developing part of the world presenting their projects, and the second part, organizations from industrialized countries who are already cooperating with communities. They present what they can offer, how they can work with community projects. And the third part, a bit broader, more general perspective, will be about how we can collaborate, which broader programs and approaches there might be. And I'm happy that we have also representatives from international organizations who will share their views with us and what they are doing in that field. Now, some more technical instructions for all participants, aside from the speakers, of course. Please stay muted during the webinar until you're invited to speak. I think that is very important. If you have any questions to the speakers, feel free to use the chat window here. You can do that as well and write your questions here. If we have time, we will also allow, of course, some of our participants to ask questions directly orally. To the speakers, I would request them, of course, please keep the time, because we have many speakers and we have a tight schedule. Yes. At the end, let me say that start also at the beginning saying that if you like our webinars, if you want to support that kind of work, you feel invited to join the World Wind Energy Association. We are happy about every member. It strengthens our work. And of course, there's the option of becoming a supporter of the webinars if you are working for a company that would like to get additional international visibility. With this, I am happy to hand over to the president of the World Wind Energy Association, Peter Ray. Peter, a very good evening to Tasmania, where you're based. You're joining us from there, and now the floor is yours. Peter, I think you must unmute yourself, because at the moment we cannot understand.
I can now.
Yes.
Is that right now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Well, I wanted to say to everybody a warm welcome. I realized that many are in the southern hemisphere this time, as well as in the northern, and it may be a varied sort of weather situation. So let me say a very friendly welcome to all of those who are joining us for this, our 5th webinar. It's being held electronically, and electronic meetings are very valuable from a point of view of drawing a lot of people together with a minimum of expense. But I don't think that they entirely overcome the need to meet people and talk personally, and I hope the day will not be too long before we can do that. But in the meantime, as we see the pandemic having its impact around the world, we can join together in what I think is an extremely important function, and that is planning for the future, planning for the time when we are past the pandemic, planning for the time when we can concentrate on the development of renewable energy, and in particular, being able to share that energy throughout the various parts of the developed and developing world. The future is something which we need to plan. And I hope that all of those participating will be able to join in further discussion about the plans that are needed to take us to the next stage of world development. Partnerships for developing countries is the topic tonight, and what more appropriate could we have? It's a webinar which has speakers from around the world, particularly from the Americas, from Africa, from various parts of the world that don't always join in. And so a double welcome to those. With that, I'd like to hand over to Stefan to start the meeting, but let's look forward to the variety of speeches which we're going to have. And thank you very much to all of those speakers. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you so much, Peter. And again, greetings to Australia, to Tasmania. Now I would like to ask Dr. Ibrahim Togola. Ibrahim, you are joining us from Bamako, the capital city of Mali, one of the pioneers of renewable energy in Africa, with many different hats, also a board member of WWEA. Well, there's a lot to say, but we host together the second World Community Power Conference in Bamako. That's 1.5 years ago. I think that's the best starting point. And many of the activities that we are now still following are based on that. Ibrahim, I'd hand over to you for a brief welcome to our participants. Please, Ibrahim, can you hear me?
To participate on this webinar remotely from Bamako. I hope you hear me.
Yes.
Is it okay, the voice?
Yes, yes. It's
okay, so I'm very honored here to be a part of this. We have few people in the room here who come here in Mali Forum Center to join the webinar with us. And I think my team is now working to get the connections. We are extremely honored and privileged to be co-organizer of this important community power webinar. That is a great initiative of World Wind Energy Association. And we were also very privileged and honored to receive all the friends of community power around the world in Bamako here 2 years ago. It was a period where we were far, cannot imagine that the world could almost shut down with the COVID 2 years later, which happened. Now we are living this world in a period of the COVID. I think in a discussion we are going to go for that. We could see that, one of the most resilient technologies today is renewables. When our community here in Africa, far from anything, can continue to really enjoy, the power supplies and from various renewable energies, and it also allows us to really think about our world today and about how important it is for us to really look at sustainability as one of the key elements for the future. And this is also always renewable energy and as a key drivers. So this webinar today give us
some problem with connection, but beside from that, thank you very much. I think we could understand very well what you said. It's been a big pleasure and a privilege working with you, Ibrahim, and your team and the people. And as I said, we had our second World Community Power Conference after the first one in Fukushima in 2016. We had the second in Bamako with people from all over Africa. which was a great start of introducing this topic into Africa. Let me underline that the topic, of course, focuses in particular on the local ownership and involvement of the local population in order to maximize the benefit of renewable energy. And that is indeed a topic that is more relevant than ever in this COVID-19 time. Now I have a special honor to introduce for a brief welcome address Rana Pratap Singh, who is from UNIDO. As I mentioned before, we're really privileged to have UNIDO as a partner of this event. And Rana, you have also some experience with us because you attended the Community Power Conference in Bamako. Now, may I invite you for a welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Esteban. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Good afternoon, everybody from Vienna. This is really a very good start. And as Stephen, you mentioned in Bamako, with MFC and a large number of participants from Africa and many other parts of the world, we really found this initiative on the community energy system is really, really very much in need, especially in African context, and also in some part of Asia and some part of Latin America and Pacific lands. So it was a great pleasure to see and listen so many experiences from many of the partners in Bamako. And then after we also focused back to Vienna, we put a lot of emphasis on community power system, how to engage and how to benefit the local population. So I must thank you for inviting me in Bamako meeting. Now, UNIDO welcome everybody, and we are ready to work with you. We are ready to meet as maximum we can do. Our services are free of cost, so you need not to think about how costly we are. We are always available, and all members are eligible to reach us in order to strengthen the community power system. We are always available. So with this kind of interaction, like 2-3 webinars we had recently, and I was attending each of them. And today also, when it is a 3 hours kind of thing, I said, I'm going to fully devote my time because I need to understand what my partners are saying, what are their interests, and how they can make a real demonstration, real scaling up of this community power approach. So it is really a good pleasure for UNIDO also to learn from the partners and the organizers like you and partner like MFC, and we will be very, very happy to cooperate and strengthen this initiative. So I welcome everybody and say good lesson. We will be happy at the end of this presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rana. Indeed, it's a great pleasure having you on board. And I think also just the name of your organization, Industrial Development, that is what this is all eventually about. Maximizing, of course, based on industrial development, the welfare, the well-being of the people around the globe.